On April 2, 1917, President Woodrow Wilson spoke to a joint session of Congress to request a declaration of war against Germany following Germany's resumption of unrestricted submarine warfare and an attempt to engage Mexico into an alliance against the United States. On April 4th, the Senate voted to support the declaration, and on April 6th, the House of Representatives gave their approval. The United States was officially at war. On April 9th, the Boy Scouts of America National Council met in New York City to lay out their plans to engage the BSA in the new wartime environment. An article in Scouting magazine stated officially in a resolution how the BSA would actively participate in the war effort. Whereas Congress has declared that a state of war exists between this country and Germany, and whereas each member of the Boy Scouts of America is definitely obligated by the Scout Oath to do his duty to his country, and whereas the combined strength of the Boy Scouts of America, now including 210,000 boys and 58,000 men, forms a potential asset to the country for cooperative effort, be it resolved that every officer and member of the Boy Scouts of America be urged, in addition to the service they will render the police and civic authorities in their home cities, to definitely assist in the development of the plans which the National Council has made with the following organizations. First, the Department of Agriculture and Council of National Defense to cooperate in the extension and development of home gardens under the slogan, "Every Scout to Feed a Soldier." Second, the American National Red Cross to cooperate with the Red Cross through its local chapters in meeting their responsibilities occasioned by this state of war. Third, the Navy Department to cooperate with the Navy Department in organizing an emergency coast patrol along the seacoast towns. The next day, members of the Boy Scouts of America launched the first of 2 wartime gardening programs under the slogan, "Every Scout to Feed a Soldier." Learn more about these food production efforts in this edition of Artifact of the Week. In 1913, Scouts of the BSA demonstrated their value as a volunteer force to the country through service during the Suffragettes' March and the presidential inauguration in March, and during the 50th anniversary reunion of the Battle of Gettysburg in July. 4 years later, in 1917, the Boy Scouts were celebrating their 7th year of existence. At the time, the BSA was, for all practical purposes, the largest uniform organization in the country. The U.S. Army numbered about 127,500 officers and soldiers. The National Guard was just under 182,000 in uniform. The United States Navy had almost 195,000 enlisted and officers, including nearly 15,000 Marines and their officers. The Boy Scouts of America reported membership of around 275,000 youth and adults in early 1917, with the number growing to more than 315,000 registered scouts and scouters by the end of the year. The United States' entry into World War I gave the BSA an opportunity to not only reinforce their ability to assist with national-level events, but to mobilize in every corner of the nation and provide a blueprint for how to accomplish a national goal using the resources of America's boy power. The front page of the April 15, 1917 Scouting magazine articulates the Boy Scouts' place in a nation at war. The seriousness of the present situation, the United States having declared that a state of war exists between this country and the country of Germany, is not the lack of national resources, but the lack of an adequate system for utilizing them. We have men, money, materials. Misplacement is the menace. The Boy Scout is trained for certain service. Efficiency consists in giving him immediate opportunity for performing that service. His place is at home, or near it. His function is to do a boy's work under a mature man's supervision. "Every Scout to Feed a Soldier" is the slogan of the Boy Scouts of America. A scout with a hoe may equal a man with a gun. He may protect his home by watching the coast if he lives near it. He may do other things, many of which are suggested herein. The Scout's official job is to study the suggestions in this issue, apply them to the local conditions, and immediately mobilize the patriotism of his scouts in concerted action. Help each one of your scouts actually to do his duty to his country as he has pledged himself to do. Prevent anxiety on the part of parents and in the community by making it clear that no scout official has authority to require any service of a scout without the consent of his parents or guardian, other than that which is definitely stated in the official handbook. Pages 2 through 5 of this issue are dedicated to how scouts can be a valuable part of the war effort through gardening. On page 2 is a copy of the emergency circular issued on April 13th by the Boy Scouts of America. The first call to service. Most urgent act, promptly report what you do. To all Scout officials, attached here too is the resolution passed by the Executive Board at its meeting on Monday. You will note every Scout is to feed a soldier. This will be practical only if we act promptly and with enthusiasm. Without any delay, all of your Scout officials should be assembled and with the best resources at your command, enthused to take definite action. The two greatest needs of the world today are ships and food. The Executive Board, after conference with the Council of National Defense and the officials of the Department of Agriculture, discovered much of the practical value that the Boy Scouts of America can do as boys individually, as patrols, as troops, and as local councils. Adding to the present crisis, the 1916 crops were short. The estimates are that the early 1917 crops are far short of our usual production. Notwithstanding these facts, foreign countries have already contracted for 50% of the estimated production for 1917. The Council of National Defense recognizes the food problem and is one of the most alarming before the country and the world. Mr. Julius Rosenwald, Vice President of the Chicago Council of the Boy Scouts of America, representing the National Defense Council, told President Livingstone that the prospective cooperation of the Boy Scouts of America was welcomed with great hopes of far-reaching practical results. The need is urgent. For Scouts to produce, conserve, and get others to produce and to conserve food. Efficiency of the soldier depends on having at least 10 producers at home for every man on the firing line. This means that in addition to the individual effort of each Scout, at least 9 others must be induced by the Scout to do likewise in order that our slogan, "Every Scout to feed a soldier," may be realized. There is no lack of certainty upon the part of our government as to the outcome of the present war, insofar as finance, men, and brains are concerned. But the problem of food, both for ourselves and our allies, is the paramount issue. First, arrange to have your own garden and then persuade every other Scout official and Scout to do likewise. From the president of your council down, every member of our executive board has arranged to carry out this plan by having a garden. President Livingstone, having no backyard, has agreed to have his front lawn plowed and put in potatoes. This will make more effective the leadership of every Scout and every Scout official, in each getting 9 others, not Scouts, to do likewise. In addition to the individual effort, encourage patrol and troop and local council gardens upon idle land within easy reach of Scouts' homes. Older boys should be encouraged to put in the maximum amount of time into helping others with their gardens, and in some communities, plans should be made for supplying labor for our larger farms. Spring gardens in backyards, on vacant lots, on the roof of a house, and in window boxes that will be used exclusively for growing of plants to be transplanted in a larger garden. Summer and fall gardens made possible because of a careful progression of crops, and in all 3 of these gardens grow a double portion. This is determined largely by soil, acreage, locality, and climate. Spring vegetables most needed and most profitable crops are really onions, radishes, and lettuce. Summer vegetables, tomatoes, greens, peas, beans, beets, carrots, cabbage, cauliflower, parsnips, Irish and sweet potatoes, sweet corn, popcorn, eggplant, Swiss chard, French endive. Fall vegetables, late tomatoes, late potatoes, late peas, tuber vegetables, turnips, kale, parsley, late sweet corn. Where large acreage can be secured for patrol or troop or local activity, it is more economical to attempt the production of a single crop on the entire piece of navy beans, wax beans, pole beans, tomatoes for canning purposes, Irish potatoes, popcorn, head lettuce, and other crops that can be cultivated by horsepower, packed and shipped in large quantities to the markets at a minimum transportation charge. Every section in the country has a personal representative of either state or federal Department of Agriculture. Find him for further information and cooperation, but do not delay action for this purpose. It is important that duplication of effort be avoided, but do not allow negotiations to this end to interfere with the action of putting seeds into the ground without delay. Bear in mind that the Boy Scouts of America is not doing this for credit, but to get results for the good of the nation. All publicity should be for the purpose of encouraging others to appreciate the nation's need and the fact that little bits of cooperation are going to affect the total amount of production and the effectiveness of all conservation effort. Pass the word along to every Scout that the slogan of the Boy Scouts of America until the war is ended is "Every Scout to feed a soldier." Page 3 of this special issue of Scouting Magazine tells the backstory that was shared in the condensed form in the emergency circular we just viewed. Page 4 and part of page 5 is the step-by-step instructions to the Scoutmaster, the individual Scout, the patrol, the troop, and the local council and unit committees. Scoutmasters, organize your troop for this work. Your services may be as great in the garden trenches as in the war trenches. For every soldier at the front, 10 men must labor to make his service effective. Plant a garden, no matter how small. Act, emergency demands it. Apply first aid to your country's preparedness. Organize your hikes with the emergency food supply in mind. Do a good turn by observing conditions and trying to improve them. Be the doctor when you observe sickness. Make the country green with the growing food products. The color for safety is green. Make your country safe. Organize your boys for leadership. Show your influence on the boys. For the individual scout, plant a garden at home, no matter how small the space. Forego the flower garden this season. Plant vegetables. If you have no garden, use a window box. You will be delighted with the results, no matter how small the crop. Do it now. Offer your services to your teacher to help in securing the necessary information to establish school and home gardens. Don't be a slacker. Offer your services as a leader to any organization in advancing this project. You can be of a special help to your teacher by assuming to care for school and home gardens during your school vacation. Be a leader. If you can raise poultry, do so. Secure garbage food from neighbors, feed them at small cost to you. Eliminate waste. If you are a rural scout and can raise pigs, do this. Get town and city free garbage for feed. This is the time which every rural scout can show his patriotism and preparedness. If you can plant a field of corn or potatoes, do this. Every pound of food raised for home consumption releases a pound to the government. Don't let the cats kill the birds. Put bells on them. The birds protect your garden by eating insects. Protect them. The National Council will credit you toward your merit badge in gardening. One of the key features that came from this food program was the idea that it took 10 people to support the food needs of a single soldier. To support this, a special designation of Grub Scout was created. Grub Scouts, along with adult Scouters, were encouraged to recruit 9 additional people to plant gardens. This article in Scouting Magazine from May 1917 tells how one scout recruited his 9 others, including a boy living in a lighthouse, a boy in Florida, and 2 boys in Virginia down by the James River. Grub Scout pins were sold by the BSA at 5 cents each, or if ordered in lots of 50, for 3 cents each. This recognition could be worn by all scouts and their adult assistants who engaged in gardening activities and recruited or assisted others. The pins could only be ordered by Scoutmasters from the National Council. Nearly every issue of Boy's Life and Scouting Magazine published in 1917 and 1918 had articles about Grub Scouts in action and/or some aspect of gardening, such as insect control, fertilizing, crop selection, and pig, poultry, and fish raising. There was a chief Grub Scout appointed, Mr. Hal Fullerton, to coordinate the efforts of the BSA and write articles for Scouting Magazine and Boy's Life. In 1918, the Department of Agriculture even published a special issue of Scouting Magazine devoted to the food production program. 100,000 copies were distributed. This featured messages from James E. West, David C. Houston, Secretary of Agriculture, and Herbert Hoover, representing the United States Food Administration. To help grow morale and keep spirits high, gardening songs were written and published. Soon after the food campaign was started, the BSA received a cablegram from Herbert Hoover, the head of the food relief program in Europe. The prime service of our country in this war is ships and food, and we can here display the true American ability at great efforts. In order to provide the food necessary, we must, from this moment, eliminate all waste and stimulate food production at every point. We must send to our allies more wheat, corn, beans, meat, bacon, and lard than we have ever sent before, if the men are to fight and their women and children to live. And our people must economize and eat other things. Among these foodstuffs, could not the Scouts take as their own province the stimulation of bean production? For there is not only a great shortage at Europe and at home, but they are the best of foods. Let them help make America able to export 10 times as many beans as she ever exported before. To do this, let the Boy Scouts see it is that beans are being planted everywhere, so that the biggest bean crop ever known shall be contributed by the Boy Scouts of America to her allies. For Scouts in the more urban parts of the Northeast, special trains were established to transport those Scouts to farms and food production camps where they would tend to the fields and harvest the crops. For many of these urban Scouts, they were unaccustomed to this level of manual labor, so the work was very exhausting. It was reported that for these Scouts, their high Scout spirit got them through the toughest of times. By the end of World War I, over 12,000 Scouts had participated in war gardens and food production. producing thousands of bushels of much-needed food. Scouts who participated in the gardening programs of 1917 and 18 could earn special gardening medals. The 1917 requirements were that the scout had to successfully conduct a garden of his own and induce 9 other people to do the same or to increase their acreage. Approximately 214 of these awards were issued in 1917. A list of the scouts that earned the 1917 medal can be found on page 5 of the August 1, 1918 issue of Scouting magazine. The 1917 requirement of recruiting 9 additional people to join in the gardening effort was apparently perceived as too difficult for scouts to complete, so in 1918 the requirements were changed. The scout shall work not less than 60 days during the season and for a total of not less than 100 hours. During this time he shall be under the supervision of someone competent to direct. The scout shall induce 1 adult not likewise engaged in food production or conservation to work with him or with some other person in the production or conservation of food during this period. The scout shall submit to his scoutmaster in writing a plan of the work which he will undertake to do. He shall carry out the plan as approved by the scoutmaster unless prevented by causes beyond his control. He shall not allow his crop nor animals to suffer for the lack of any attention they should have. The scout shall secure the recommendations of his scoutmaster and of the local council if his troop is under the jurisdiction of a local council, and of the nearest representative of the United States Department of Agriculture, stating that he has fully met the requirements and is entitled to receive the award. The candidate for this award may work on his own or any other private farm or garden, or on a farm or garden conducted by a patrol, troop, local council, or camp established for food production and conservation, provided such farm or garden is maintained under proper supervision, approved by the National Council. Scouts are allowed to receive credit for raising pigs or other food animals, poultry or bees, with the definite motive of aiding food production and conservation with a view toward helping win the war. The award will be based upon a report made by the scoutmaster through his local council or court of honor, or if not under a local council, then upon the recommendation of his troop committee and the recommendation of the local representative of the United States Department of Agriculture, who shall countersign all recommendations meeting his approval. The 1917 medal was a dark green ribbon with a bronze medallion suspended below. The front of the medal reads, "Every scout to feed a soldier," and "War Service." The back of the medal reads, "Awarded to and on behalf of the Boy Scouts of America, 1917 Gardening." It is believed the medal was used for both the 1917 and 1918 programs. It was also announced in the August 1918 issue of Scouting magazine that every troop in which every member earns the gardening medal would receive a special war service emblem. It was also announced that the troop and council which started and successfully conducted the most gardens would receive special recognition. To support all of this gardening effort, the BSA produced official gardening equipment such as shovels, hand tools, and plows. In the collection of the National Scouting Museum, we have one of the Empire Boy Scout Model No. 2 wheeled cultivators that was donated to the collection in 2023. There were at least 4 models of this plow released, and they were distributed by Harper & McIntyre, a wholesale hardware business that was established in Ottumwa, Iowa in 1856. The BSA also performed several other wartime national projects, including mobilization plans to assist local communities with local emergencies, 5 Liberty Loan campaigns, war savings stamp campaigns, serving as dispatch bearers, fruit pick collecting, black walnut classification, helping the Navy with coastal watch duties and coal conservation, to name a few. From the start, the Scouts gave each of these programs their total effort and completed each project with results that exceeded expectations. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us next time as we continue to learn more about the history of Scouting America through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.